right, welcome to the Bears Den, presented by WARR Media and Sports Zone Chicago. I am Saul Rodriguez, joined as always by my co-host Joe Tanksley. Man, I mean, we were just talking about it before. We came on the stuff that we missed in the last week, like and you said it. You gotta let it marinate a little bit, and it does help a little bit, to kind of process it. But we'll get to it. Justin Fields getting traded, Keenan Allen's on the Bears. DeAndre Swift's on the Bears, and we'll delve a little bit into the NFL. But first and foremost, Joe, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. There's so much going on. I mean, we were even talking about a little bit about a tiny situation that's unfolded. I mean, the sports world is blowing up right now, and in so many different
Mm-hmm.
ways, so many different directions. But we'll stick to football in here, and like I was saying, we missed a ton. I feel like in the span of a week or so. But I just say the top story of the last week, no
We
doubt.
didn't miss it. We just didn't talk about it.
True. True. Hey, good point. Good point. Yeah, good point, Joe. Yeah, you don't want to make us look bad, be like, damn, we had our head, like we were in a cave or something for like a week. No, we heard it. We just didn't get to talk about it in here. But yeah, I think the it's safe to say the top story of the week is Justin Fields getting traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a conditional pick. That depending on the amount of time he's on the field, it can be as high as a fourth round pick or as low as a sixth round pick. This trade, I think it gave us the answer to what we've all been waiting for of like what the Bears are going to do from the quarterback position. And we'll talk about, what we think they're going to do with the number one pick, because obviously it's safe to assume Caleb Williams, right? But some people are still out there saying like it's not a sure thing. They could still go with Jaden Daniels. They could still do this and that and whatever. So we'll talk about that. But what are your initial thoughts on Justin Fields getting traded? Because a lot of people were talking about the compensation. It wasn't enough or whatever, but it ultimately did right by Justin Fields by trading him where he wanted to go. And I think that also plays into the compensation where they kind of had to take whatever the team was giving them because, again, they were trying to do right by their guy. So how do you feel about the deal that they made with the Steelers and the compensation overall?
You know, I do think that Justin Fields is worth more than a 6th round pick or a 4th round pick, considering, what Mac Jones got, and some of the lesser quality quarterbacks. I think that ultimately, Justin Fields ends up in a place where, winning matters. He ends up with a coach who's not afraid to coach, and with a coach who still hasn't had a losing season yet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then, he gets to compete with Russell Wilson and really, hone his craft and hone his skills. I think that's going to make him better in the long run. I think, Justin Fields was definitely, an exemplary, employee for the Chicago Bears. Very humble, very respectful at all times. A very good leader of men. That's unquestionable.
Mm-hmm.
Character, integrity is unquestionable. Uh, and it's disappointing. I think, I'm sad to see Justin go. But I'm also excited to see what's going to happen for the future of the Chicago Bears. And you know, I won't put in, too much stock into, the other names that you mentioned. I think Caleb Williams has to be the guy,
Mm-hmm.
and they're putting a lot of pressure on Caleb. With this trade, and what happened, what's going to happen. You know, you talked about all the stuff we quote unquote missed the opportunity to talk about, but he's coming into a phenomenal situation. For a rookie quarterback. You know, weapons like DJ Moore and uh, Keenan Allen, who they added. Um, he also brought in DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett. Um, who else? We didn't mention Cole Kmet yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to have some solid pieces to at his disposal. More than Justin ever got. When he got here, and Justin didn't have control over it. The only thing that Justin could control was his play, and he left a little bit of that out there. We're being honest. Um, I think he did. To me, he did show enough to want to build around and to want to see it through with him. But ultimately, we're not Ryan Poles, and we're not the GM of the Chicago Bears. To me, I think if you're Ryan Poles in this situation, I feel like we could talk about how he doing right by Justin and everything, you know, and things by sitting there where he wanted to go. But I think when you talk about someone who said they're not going to be motivated by fear and and pushing the team, well, the easy thing to do in this situation was to ride with Caleb Williams. That was the
Mhm.
easy thing to do. That was the easiest move. That's the move that's going to get the less criticism, you know. And ultimately, by drafting Caleb Williams, you know, Ryan Post guarantees himself, at least 4 more years to keep working for the Bears.
Mhm. Yeah.
you know, say he guarantees himself 4 more years and another head coach.
Mhm.
About so you know, for me, it's not so much as doing right by Justin, but more the self-preservation of himself. you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I think that kind of leads to got a question here from 10 Bears, aka Chief X Bears, and uh, do you think that Ryan Poles managed that whole situation properly? I mean, you kind of alluded to it, kind of with your thoughts on him and the way that he thought about it, but I mean, a lot of people, are criticizing it for saying, hey, look, he waited too long,
You know
because of
what?
what he got
Here's the thing.
back. Mhm.
I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off,
Oh, you're good.
but you know, this has been the most polarizing offseason for the Chicago Bears, and to allow an asset, somebody that's been, a good employee, a good player for your team, to take the beating that he did for that
Mhm.
long, you know, devaluing the asset in that time span. I think that was mismanaged. I think it was handled poorly.
Yeah, it's fair to say, yeah. I mean, with because a lot of people were saying like, did he with this he wanted to do right by Justin, but ultimately did he do right by Justin is the real question here, and all that, and I mean we saw some of the outpour of the teammates as well. Of like some of the tweets, from DJ Moore to Jaquan Brisker and all that. I mean, we kind of expected that. I think also from a certain spot, they were going to be sad regardless. And I mean, man, the outpour of sadness of Bears fans that when that happened, I mean, was like way more than I expected, and some people, even to the surprise of many NFL fans that aren't from Chicago and don't see it, they were like, man, like the Bears fans are really in their feelings right now. It was
Well,
crazy.
and that's the thing,
Mhm.
for the Bears are one of the youngest teams, in the
Mhm.
league. If it hadn't been for Mercedes Lewis, they probably could have been the youngest
Yeah. Yeah.
in the league. He bumped that average up, that average age of a few, but you know, and so these are young guys,
Mhm.
and some of them, you know, you're starting to grasp, the whole business of the situation,
Mhm.
you know, and Briscoe's a young guy. Say DJ Moore. I really think he built a rapport with Justin, and
Mhm.
and like I said, the leadership and the character, the quality and integrity, the man that Justin Fields is unquestionable.
Mhm.
You know, and you know he definitely has some things that other quarterbacks can't do.
Mhm.
I think you know as far as that space in the heart of the locker room, saying Caleb has some big shoes to fill in that aspect.
Mhm.
You know, we know that he's talented. Saying,
Mhm.
we know the threat that he is throwing the ball, but I think that has to be something said for the mentality, and being around men, um, and having your teammates respect, and wanting to play hard for you. And I think, that's something that, Caleb is going to have to really work hard to earn coming into
Mhm.
that locker room.
Yeah, that's probably one of the things that is going to be talked about a lot once we get into if once they go with him and once they go into the OTAs and all that is how he's going to build that respect in the clubhouse with all the guys and all that. But I think when it comes to the fields and the way fans are talking about it, I think that's one of the things that the sadness of him being gone, I think, is more so of like how the Bears treated him while he was in a Bear uniform. Like they didn't do right by him in the sense of like, with all the coaches or the different coach. He didn't get the right opportunity. I think that's where fans are coming from for the most part, because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people from the outside looking in, there's a lot of fan base, like I said, that are like, man, like really, you guys are defending, or you guys really taking it like, taking it to heart for a guy who didn't accomplish that much. And it's like, no, that's not the point. I feel like the point is that he didn't get he didn't have the right situation to show his true potential. That's why I think fans feel a certain way. And I think what you said speaks a lot more to how fans feel as well, because as a person, he was above and beyond to what he was a player. Honestly, like as a person, he was a great leader. He was a great person.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, teammates loved him, and I even saw from the Under Center podcast, NBC Sports Chicago, with our boy Ken Davis. Like he was even getting a little emotional talking about Justin Fields, and it's like, dude, you really wanted to win with this guy, is the point, right? It's like this is the
Mm-hmm.
guy. When he came in, we're like, man, we're really gonna, this guy, the type of quarterback he is, the type of person he is. You really wanted to win with him, and you almost feel like the organization failed him from that aspect. And I think that's
And and,
really
and, and
yeah.
here's the thing: like, how
Uh-huh.
many times do you see a guy with his abilities and the things that he's able to do that
Mm-hmm.
be an asshole?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're
you
right.
know, and he was none of that. You
Hmm.
know, he didn't do too much bus tossing. He took the
Hmm.
blame when he needed to take the blame.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's something that people are going to be watching.
Hmm.
When Caleb steps into the locker room, that's what they're going to be watching and see how he handles this adversity, because he's a rookie. There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some adversity. He's going to make mistakes. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. And I think even just the level of honesty that Fields had to with the media and the way he handled certain things. I mean, I've been in there asking him questions, with certain things, and I remember once I asked him, I was like, hey, like, how do you feel about this matchup between you and Aaron Rodgers? And he was like, hey, it's not a matchup between me and Aaron Rodgers. It's between the Bears and the Packers. And like he always had that kind of that rapport with the media, and like even with our boy Sean Sierra. He he told said like never
Greg,
want to get up. Hey, Greg, aka Greg, when he gets
who's the Sean Sierra you're talking about? We're talking Greg.
our boy Greg, it's like he always had to, even if it was like in almost like in a playful way, like the honesty was there, and I think that's what another thing that people liked about him. But kind of focusing on the deal and what it means. I mean, like I said, conditional pick. It could be as low as sixth in the sixth round or as high as the fourth, and it can only be a fourth if the percentage of play is over 51% for Justin Fields and the Steelers. Obviously, since the last time we talked, Russell Wilson is a Steeler.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, are assuming he's going to start, and the only way that Fields plays is if Russell gets injured. But I don't believe that, honestly. I feel like with the way we've seen Russell Wilson play with the Broncos lately, in like the last few years, I should say, I don't think
You
it's a
know what?
surefire thing that he won't play, that Fields won't play over 51%.
He really, Russell Wilson really ended up in a nasty situation. Finishing out with the Broncos, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, his play wasn't really that bad with the Broncos. Um, it just was a situation where he didn't mess with Sean Payton, and they were regretful of the money that they spent because of all the the holes that they had to fill,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretty much wrote a check that the ass couldn't cash, and bringing them in. They gave him all this money, but really didn't do enough to help solidify the team around him. Now, the defense got worse while Russell Wilson was there. That's not on Russell.
Mm-hmm.
They went for a top five defense to a horrible defense, pretty much. Yeah, so a lot of that wasn't on Russell. I think that whole situation was mismanaged, and it does seem like it sometimes. Russell has probably lost a step a little bit, but I think coming into a new situation with Mike Tomlin, a guy like I said before, a guy who's not afraid to coach, who's proven he can win and get the best out of his guys. I think Russell is going to come in motivated. Um, and I think he's going to push these guys to compete against each other for that point in time. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that maybe Justin could find some playing time. and it's the NFL. Anything is
Mhm.
stands for not for long. You know,
Yeah.
so you got to be ready at any given point. I do think that that conditional 6th round pick does help insulate the Steelers. And they got to be happy with themselves because they got a great deal. On Justin Fields because he wanted to be there, and obviously it's a situation that Justin wanted to be in. And Ryan Poles, to his credit, did put Justin in the situation he wanted to be in. And so now the rest is, up to Justin, and I wish him well. I wish that it could have worked out here, but
Mhm.
he's, forever going to be a bear to me. What I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
you know, and he gave us some very exciting moments. We've seen him do things, on the field that we haven't seen anybody else do,
Mhm.
honestly. And I'm grateful for that.
100%. Yeah, and I think that and I think he's in Italy right now. He was doing some camps, and I did see a clip of him talking about how gracious he was towards the fans and his teammates, and for how he was treated, while he was here and all that, and whether the team was doing bad or team was was hot or whatever, fans were always there. So it was great to hear from him and whatever and that's the thing too, is that I don't think now, just as you said, like, we're wishing him the best. Like, dude, I'm rooting for this guy. Like, I'm even considering getting
Hmm.
a Fields Steelers jersey. Like, it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm rooting for this guy,
Right.
and he did go in regardless of like if he plays this year, if Russell Wilson plays well, if he gets injured, whatever it is. He's still in a great spot because Russell Wilson, of course, is on a 1-year deal. So even if it doesn't work out for him, like, Justin Fields is right there to start in 2025. So great spot overall, and I think that's one of the better parts of the situation that he's in now. And hopefully it all works out for him. That definitely is the main part from we want to get out to
Hmm.
from Bears perspective. So now they shift our focus to the next Bears quarterback. And I mentioned Caleb Williams. It isn't a sure thing, of course, but we are, like I said, safe to assume ultimately it's going to be Caleb. But what are your thoughts on him as a player? This is he's garnered a lot of criticism off the field, but like ultimately, man, like the most important part is how he plays on the field. And how do you evaluate Caleb Williams as a quarterback, and how do you see him adapting to the NFL game?
Well, it's very hard to translate college play to the NFL. Uh, I think that he does have a very unique skill set in the way that he's able to throw and um, and move and create opportunities to throw. Um, he was dynamic. During his time at college. That year, his first year at Oklahoma, he was phenomenal. And he wasn't eligible for the draft that year, but he could have been the first overall pick that year. Um, so I think that he it's a lot of hype surrounding him, and I do think that with all the moves that Ryan Poles has made, um, I'm gonna say it again. They put a lot of pressure on that young man. Um,
Hmm.
they really did. So I don't think that this is a situation. Here's the thing. I think from the time that he's you know wanted to play football, I think he's been being groomed for this moment. So I do think that he's going to he's essentially been professional the whole time
Hmm.
with the NIL
Yeah.
money,
Hmm.
what I'm saying, and things like that. So he's pretty much been operating that way. Um, but now you're playing with grown men. you know, you're playing with grown men, so it's going to be a little bit different. So I think that you know we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and to another question here from our guy, Chief X Bears, do you think that Caleb is the best QB prospect you've seen? I know, look, ultimately that like the whole like generational quarterback, generational prospect. Like I know it gets thrown out easily, like just like the word
Yeah,
legendary.
yeah.
And
It's really this because here's the thing. They said this thing about Trevor Lawrence, and he's
yeah,
struggling with the Jacksonville
mhm,
Jaguars. They said he was a generational talent. You know, yeah. I mean, the best QB prospect that we've seen. Um, yeah, I probably would have to go with Andrew Luck.
mhm,
Um, still, and even him, they didn't build around him, and he got beat up, and he said, "I don't
mhm.
want to play anymore."
Yep. And
you
even
know,
even
so
and even some people say that they actually that he had a nice setup when he came into the league, but does not compare yet to, or still does not compare to what the Bears have set up Caleb Williams with the weapons they have and all that.
right, and I do think that Ryan Poles is not done. I
Hmm.
do think that they're gonna have to, he did add some, offensive line depth. We got two centers, in this time period so far. A guy from Buffalo, and they signed one from the Chargers. Uh, the names escape me but
Ryan
the guy
Bates was
from
one of them for
yeah,
the Bills.
Ryan Bates,
Ryan Bates.
and then the other center from the Charger, who's more than likely going to start at that position. So
Mhm.
they beefed up the interior of that line. So you're looking at Jenkins, the center from the Chargers that they just got, and Nate Davis. Um, you got another year of development for Braxton Jones, who was solid, and still, pretty much, I don't think reached his full potential yet, as a left tackle. I think he's going to continue to improve and get better. Um, but the one thing is, that offensive line is the depth. Those guys get banged up and they do miss games. And so adding those quality pieces to the depth of that offensive line is going to help the team tremendously and ultimately help Caleb. Um, you know, I think you talk about the situation that he's coming into. It's a situation where it's a win now situation.
Mhm.
You got Evil Flus, even though they brought him back. Saying that he has the vote of confidence. He's on the hot seat. They have to win now. With the players that they brought in. Last I kind of feel like Evil Flus deserved to come back another year. Um, that first year really wasn't on him. The second year though, was the first year that you could really take stock in and be like, "Yo, what's happening?"
Yeah.
So I think this third year is going to be really telling for him, and to come in with a rookie quarterback and go to get ready to go to war with him. How is he feeling about this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Exactly, and I think yeah, and that's one of the things too that I've liked, and I've said I've been I haven't chosen because people as soon as Fields got traded, like everyone's like the war is over, like all this. Which to be fair, it's not. I still see people arguing about Fields and Caleb Williams on any type of comment feed, whether it be TikTok, Twitter, all that. It's still not over.
you
But
know
anyway,
what? I mean, it's over. It's over.
no, yeah, like for the regular people, for the normal people, like people out here just like are just insane. But anyways, like I've always said that no matter who the Bears decide to go with, as long as you build around him and you can like I will be fine with that. I'll be satisfied. If you want to go full on with Caleb Williams, do it. If you want to go with Justin Fields, do it. Like just build around him and get it right. And I mean so far they're
Yeah.
on the right track. And I think that kind of leads us into our next subject that we're going to talk about is Keenan Allen. He was traded to the Bears
Hmm.
from the Los Angeles Chargers. He's six-time Pro Bowl wide receiver. The Bears traded their fourth-round pick for him. They now have a second weapon at the wideout position to pair with DJ Moore. And, he's about to be 32 years old, but even that, there isn't an issue with the type of production because of what he, or his age. There's no issue with that because of the type of production he gave it in year 31. And also, I mean, like people say, oh, he misses some games. He's injury prone. But that's one of the things is that for me, he doesn't have to be the guy here in Chicago. Like we have DJ Moore, we have other weapons. You mentioned Cole Kmet. We haven't even talked about the fact that we might go out there and get Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors, whatever lands in the Bears' hands there in the ninth pick or whatever they do. But what were your thoughts as to that move? Because this is a move that could also not just be for this year, but for the future, because there's been rumors where, that they've discussed an extension, maybe for a couple years, whatever. But what were your thoughts overall on the Bears acquiring Keenan Allen for the Chargers?
I think Keenan Allen is a savvy veteran whose
Hmm.
whose production can be questioned, and that's the kind of guy that you want to have around a rookie quarterback who's going to, he's going to be he's a great route runner, and when the ball comes at our time, he's going to be there, and that's what young quarterbacks need. Not something that Justin always had, but
Yep.
you know, but I think it's a solid move for a fourth round pick, and I think that he's back with his old wide receiver coach. He's familiar with the scheme and Shane Waldron, and I think it's a good pickup for the Bears. Where you have some quality targets now, where you can really distribute the ball and spread it around the field, and along with Gerald Everett, a pass catching tight end. You could pretty the Bears have set themselves up to have a pretty dynamic offense. Especially with the addition of DeAndre Swift. Uh, this could be a scary good offense. To in what 2024 coming up. So I think yeah, Keenan Allen, the fourth round pick, and I think now the Bears only have four picks left now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned, getting Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors, you know, four picks is not enough for a man who
Mhm.
said that they wanted to rebuild through the draft. And four picks is not enough. So I'm almost certain they're going to try to move down on that ninth pick, and let's see who they can get.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing to that, because I think people were discussing, the Keenan Allen deal, and they were saying like, oh, now this means they don't need a wide receiver in the draft or whatever. But I think it's almost like kind of insurance, right?
Uh,
They're getting it, but that's the thing though. I think they're leaving it. I think that's what Ryan Poles is doing, is leaving it up for flexibility, right? Whether they're
right.
not dying for a wide receiver, but if they get a wide receiver, which I'm sure they will in some capacity, whether it be
Well,
top
here's the
10
thing
or
with that fourth round pick, you're not going to get a wide
yeah,
receiver with
yeah,
Keith
uh-huh,
Allen. You're not.
mhm,
You're not. So, I mean, that's the thing. But he is 32.
yeah, yeah, mhm,
But he is 32, and so you know, you're gonna need to bring a young guy in. And Keelan Allen is the perfect guy to match a young guy with, because he does things the right way. I think you ultimately have yourself a situation where you got a high quality player, that can still do it and also be a coach on the field.
mhm. Yeah, that's true, and that's what I like. The fact that if they are going for a wide receiver, which I think they will, and whether it be a top 10 guy or not, they're going to get a wide receiver anyways. And I think that, and also not only that, but the guys that are on the roster, like Tyler Scott, for example, too, that maybe needs a little guidance, and maybe you can help him out as well to become a better player. And that helps in a lot of ways. So I am excited to see what Keenan Allen can do, not only on the field but off the field as well. But you mentioned DeAndre Swift as well. The Bears have added plenty of players since last time we talked as well. Headlined by Swift himself, 3 years, $24 million. They also signed tight end Gerald Everett to a 2-year deal worth up to 14 mil. Center Coleman Shellen as well to a 1-year deal. What signing has been your personal favorite, or just one maybe that isn't talked about enough? Because there's been plenty that they've made. For the most part, have been depth pieces, I feel like, especially from the tackle side. But what has been something that maybe surprised you, or just isn't talked about enough?
The signings. Well,
Mhm,
definitely, I think the biggest signing is bringing back Jalen Johnson.
mhm,
And I think them getting that deal done, was something that needed to happen in that locker room. Especially with trading Justin Fields. So I think Jalen Johnson definitely needed to get his money. Just for the morale of that defense in that locker room. So that was very important. And the deal worked out for both of them. Next, I'm intrigued as to what DeAndre Swift could offer to that
Mhm.
offense. I think he's a back that can stay on the field, all three downs, um, and give them, the Bears an opportunity to mix things up. Um, to me though, I do like the idea of Gerald Everett coming into this offense and just being able to use 12 personnel. That's two tight ends, um, and really being able to create mismatches and do some different things and exploit the middle of the field, which is something that you they could have done a little bit more of. But I think they use Cal Cole Komet to block so much. He does it very well. He's an excellent blocker, and he's very good at running routes and catching passes too. So there's really not anything you can really key on when you put both of them into the game, and so and use that 12 package. I think that 12 package coming into this season is going to be really important for the Bears.
Yeah, and I think the guys that brought in, make the offense, very versatile and dangerous in multiple ways. Especially with a guy like Swift and Gerald Everett, with whether they go with the double package or whatever it is with tight ends, with the
Mm.
tight end position, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do there. But moving on now to the rest of the league, we talked about it. With the quarterback carousel, we talked about that with Sean Sierra. Like there are plenty of quarterbacks that are gonna pretty much dictate where Justin Fields was going to go. And now, you got, like I mentioned, Russell Wilson to the Steelers, Kirk Cousins to the Falcons. What has been the most intriguing spot that a quarterback has landed for, in your opinion? Because there's been guys that even like, for example, like a Baker Mayfield, he stayed when, some thought maybe he was going to go to Atlanta or maybe even like the Steelers or something like that. But he obviously liked the situation in Tampa. Well, is there any quarterback situation that stands out to you that has changed over the last week or so?
Over the last week or so, not really. I do think that, uh, yeah, not really. I do question the amount of money that Atlanta gave to Kirk Cousins coming off that injury, and
Yeah.
they play on turf inside a dome. Um, yeah, so I do question that. But yeah, why he's good and he has all the yards and everything like that. And he's only won one playoff game. Uh, but that team is a team that's very close right now. They had a top 11 defense. Defense that Justin Fields destroyed, by the way. uh, they had a top 11 defense. They got weapons on offense with John Robinson, Kyle
Mhm.
Pitts, Drake London. They just added Darnell Mooney, uh, and so they got a solid situation, and a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins, who's familiar with that system, uh, can come in and get the cooking right away. Granted that he's 100% healthy. I think that was I talked to some Atlanta fans, some people I know from Atlanta who are diehard Falcons fans. They question the money around it, and uh, especially with his age, um, and given that he hasn't really done much for Minnesota, so I think yeah, yeah, but I understand why Atlanta did it, uh, and then yeah, Washington. They traded away Sam Howell, who was their starting quarterback, and when they traded him away, a lot of people thought that they could be putting a package together to get ready to move up and get that first overall pick. But you almost certainly now that they're going to have to draft one of these other quarterbacks, whether it be Daniels or Drake May. Uh, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and this is the thing. There was plenty of like minor deals that were made. Whether it be the Jameis Winston going to Cleveland or Jacoby Brissett with the
Yeah,
Patriots, Sam Darnold with the Vikings. But I will say one that I found interesting just because of the fact that like some the way that some fans reacted and you're right by the way in the Kirk Cousins thing like the memes were hilarious on that like people were saying like I need Kirk Cousins as agent to come
Right.
negotiate with my job.
Right.
Like it was hilarious. But I'm interested to see what happens with Gardner Minshew and the Raiders if I had to pick one, just because of the fact that there were some fans that were like, because he signed a deal with the Raiders for 2 years, 25 mil, and there's some fans that are like, I don't know, I still like Aiden O'Connell better, but it's like I got it's a low bar. I don't know, I got to see that for
Right.
myself and see what Gardner, because I mean we've seen what Gardner's had an opportunity. I'm not sitting here and saying that he deserves to be a starter or whatever, but I think he deserves a
Right.
shot at starting. I think ultimately.
Right. And I think Gardner Minshew is definitely NFL quarterback. Is he
Hmm.
one of the 32 best? I don't know, but
Yeah.
he's definitely a guy who's not going to lose you any games.
Hmm.
And and I think that's something that the Raiders need. I think that they've had a lot of turmoil, you
Hmm.
know, over the past couple seasons, and with some of the moves that they've made, and I think Gardner is going to be a calming presence, and he's not going to he's not going to cause too many problems. I
Yep.
think that for 2 years you kind of see what you got with him, and you make your roster moves, and and see where you end up in 2 years at the end of the deal. You might be able to you might be able to upgrade, you might be able to draft. So I think that's one of those bridge moves.
Yeah, I agree there. And also from a position player standpoint, you mentioned Darnell Mooney earlier in the show. You know, he signed a deal with the Falcons. Derrick Henry's a Raven. Jerry Jeudy signed a fat deal with the Browns that a lot of people were kind of puzzled too at the amount of that he got. But like, is there anything, anyone that you're particularly excited to see in a new uniform, or from a position player standpoint, like a wide receiver, running back, anything that stands out to you from recent memory? Because I know that the Derrick Henry one is one that is pretty, fascinating, because I want to see how he fits in to that Lamar Jackson scheme in the Ravens. And I feel like that whole running game, like there was just people, tweeting about that too, about how tired the defenses are going to be after they play the Ravens, because there's just going to be so much running they're going to deal with. So anybody that stand out to you?
You know what I think? Here's the thing. I think Derrick Henry has been a workhorse for so long.
Yeah.
When Sean was on here, he jumped on me. But the thing about it, what running backs reach a certain age and they just tend to just fall
Hmm.
off. you know, and so and he's had a lot of carries.
Hmm.
And no one knows when this happens, when it's going to happen. It just happens all of a sudden, which is
Hmm.
which the Green Bay Packers, going with Josh Jacobs was a sneaky good move, because
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is 29 years old,
Hmm.
and I seen him on TV the other day. He was bald headed, holding on to them dreads in the back, holding on to them dreads in the back. You know, what I'm saying?
Oh
That
no.
like if I'm the GM and I'm looking at that every day, I was like, yeah, I'm getting rid of this dude.
Joe from the top rope, no mercy. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of this dude. You know what I'm saying? But he's still in the division. He's still in the division.
Yeah, yeah. Huh?
So the Bears still have to worry about him. But I think I think the coach for the Vikings is going to figure out a way to utilize him properly, and I think he's still going to be a factor. But I think you talk about the Green Bay Jack, no, the Green Bay Jack, the Green Bay Packers being
Mhm.
the youngest team in the league and getting younger at the running back position. It kind of helps keeps that team on that timeline where they're developing, you know, and still moving towards. So they're going to be scary good too.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think that was a sneaky good move by the Green Bay Packers. That's gonna, I think, pay off well for
Yeah, no,
them.
I agree. And when I saw that too, I was like, damn, I think it might have been the same day that the Bears signed DeAndre Swift. And I was like, oh, the Bears got DeAndre Swift. It's a healthy deal, whatever. And then I saw that and I was like, oh crap. Like, they definitely, that's a good deal right there. They got younger in that position. And you could even make an argument
Didn't
that
lose production, got younger, and
yeah,
didn't lose production.
exactly. Yeah. And to your point on Derrick Henry, you made a good point. And I think also that might be even a better reason, or that might be a better point as to why he went to Baltimore, because now he actually, some of the carries are taken away by Lamar Jackson, so it kind of even helps him out maybe in that,
And
case, right?
they
At his
still got
age,
Gus
right?
Edwards too. Gus
Oh yeah,
Edwards,
Gus Edwards, exactly. Yeah.
he may be coming off an injury, but
Mhm.
he's been solid for them. So that and they're a team that utilizes more than one running back, and so I think J.K. Dobbins got hurt at the beginning of the year. Is he with the Ravens?
Yeah. Oh, J.K. Dobbins right now.
Yeah.
Let me see, because I know. I mean, dude, there's so many freaking news that move
I
all over the
remember him
place.
getting hurt in the beginning of
Oh,
the
he's a
season.
free
So I
agent.
think
Currently he's a free agent right now. Yeah.
Curry a free agent, but he got hurt
Mhm.
in the beginning of the season,
Mhm.
and I know they were relying a lot on him.
Mhm.
And Gus Edwards kind of stepped up and held it down
Yep.
for them. But I think Derrick Henry is going to be utilized and pretty well with the Ravens. And I think to your point, those defenses are going to be really tired. I think they're going to come in with with a chip on their shoulder and try to get to that Super Bowl. I think and that's the thing. All these teams are trying to beat one man, and so we'll see how that goes.
Mhm. Yeah, I know, right? You can only hope to contain them, and
Let's
hopefully
say,
they can
and
stop.
when I say one man, one team, but really it's one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one man.
Yeah, and look, we didn't even like mention that too. The fact that the speaking of that guy you're talking about, Patrick Mahomes, like he got Hollywood Brown. Like the fact that
hmm
that's a weapon right there, and we like I saw man I swear these tweets, like you could go on for days, some of these ridiculous tweets, but I saw one that was like that was replying to them getting Brown, signing Brown, and they were like, man, this guy Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl with dudes that got feet for hands, and now they got a guy like Brown on the team. Like, who knows what they're gonna do? And it's like, man,
Right.
and another another year or two of Rashid Rice, like, who knows? Like, it's gonna be crazy, and I think that's scary for the league. But yeah, no, the Ravens definitely are going to be able to utilize their running game a lot more in different ways than one. And it's going to be scary to see what they do with that. But I think that's a good place to wrap things up for this edition of the Bears Den. I want to thank Joe Tanksley for joining me as always. I want to thank you guys for watching as well. Make sure to check out all of our Sports Zone Chicago shows as well, the Sean and Maya show, as well as the Second City Sports as well, with Sydney and Lakina. On the WARR Media side, check out, we just recorded an at-bat episode, me and Miles Porter, talking about the Soul Series, the Cubs and White Sox, what they're doing in spring, as well as Sammy Sosa coming back to Chicago. So definitely check that out. For Saul Rodriguez, Joe Tanksley, I want to thank everyone for watching the Bears Den. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace. The real Sammy Sosa?